Welcome, and I love that bell. Good morning, I'm Jennifer Bottomley, and I'm welcoming you to the Theodore Parker Unitarian Universalist Church this morning. My pronouns are she and her, and my wife and I, collectively known as the Jennifers, have been coming here for 14 years now. As we enter into worship, we bring with us all of our sorrows and joys of the week. And we know that here we are held in loving community. Here we are reminded that we are part of something larger than ourselves. Here we seek to counter oppression and to work for healing and justice in a bruised and broken world. Here we invite all of you to bring your perspectives, your beliefs, and your doubts, and all that is unique and wondrous about you to our service. In the spirit of love, all are welcome here. For those joining us in person, a few things you might need to know. You can use the QR code at either entrance or on the back of each pew to pull up the order of service. Just use your phone. Or take the large print copy, which is also available at either entrance. Our service is being recorded today, and you can see it later on YouTube. If you would like a joy or a concern shared with the congregation today during our meditation and prayer, we invite you to fill out a card anytime before the meditation hymn on the table. To my left, your right. And there's candles available as well. You may also light a silent candle of joy or concern at any time during our service, or use the space in the way back corner for private reflection during the service. If you are joining us on Zoom today, later in the service, we will share in a New Year's ritual. And you may wish to gather a few pieces of paper and a writing utensil to participate from home. People of all ages are welcome to move about the sanctuary as they need to, or to make themselves comfortable in the cozy zone up front of the first pew. Children's programming for elementary school age kids is happening today, but today the kids are invited to spend the entire service with us. We also have childcare available for children under the age of 4 in the nursery located in the parish hall. Many thanks to Mary Beth Noonan, who is our camera point person today, and to Jake, who is our Zoom usher. If you're new to Theodore Parker Church or are visiting today, we'd love to stay in touch. You're invited to fill out a connection card, which will give you an opportunity to sign up for our weekly updates and help us welcome you. There's a connection card in your pew, and you can get the information on the chat if you're on Zoom. Those joining us here in the sanctuary are encouraged to fill out that contact card, and you'll find that in the pew within the welcome brochure. We'd like to take a moment to greet each other. For those of you on Zoom, please put your video on so we can see your faces and help us connect. And Mary Beth, if you would please put us in the gallery mode, that would be great. And we can wave to our visiting folks from afar. The camera's underneath the clock. As we continue to greet each other, if you're online, you may post a hello in the chat. And if you're physically in this sanctuary, we invite you to greet each other and say good morning. And please ask for consent before offering a hug or a handshake. Please greet one another.
Good morning. My name is Rose. I serve as this congregation's religious educator, and so good to be with you all this morning. One clarification from the welcome earlier, this will be a multi-generational service, so children are welcome and invited to stay with us for the whole service. Our opening words this morning are adapted from Sylvia L. Howe. We bid you welcome on this first Sunday of the new year. Like Janus, we gather with part of us looking backward and part looking forward. We gather on the edge of a new year, saddened by our losses, cherishing our joys, aware of our failures, mindful of days gone by. We gather on the cusp of this new year, eager to begin anew, hopeful for what lies ahead, promising to make changes, anticipating tomorrows and tomorrows. We invite you to join our celebration of life, knowing that life includes sorrows and delights, endings and beginnings. We bid you welcome. Please join me now in singing our opening hymn. It'll be number 58 in your gray hymnal, and the words are up on the screen too. Ring out wild bells, and please stand, rise in body or spirit.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good morning again and welcome. I'm Reverend Heather Concannon. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the minister of this congregation. And this morning I'm going to lead us in our chalice lighting. Chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalist faith. And we'll say our shared covenant as we do, once in English and once in Spanish, in honor of our sibling community in Plazuelas, El Salvador. The words will be up on the screen, and I believe Eleanor is lighting the chalice. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es nuestra oración. Esta es nuestra gran promesa, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
As we settle in and turn towards a new year, we begin to consider what we need to let go of to move through this threshold with intention and care. At least for me, letting go can be very hard. When I'm confronted with change, I often cling on to the past for as long as I can, even though I've learned over and over that eventually I'll need to let go and move forward. In the spirit of learning and relearning that lesson, I have a story for you all this morning. It's called What If Nobody Forgave by Barbara Marshman. In a land far away, a wise old man who knew a great deal about people because he had traveled from place to place, arrived at a strange village. In this town, all the people were carrying what seemed to be great bundles on their backs. They couldn't look around very well, and they never looked up because of the heavy burdens they carried. Puzzled, the wise old man finally stopped a young fellow. "My good man, I am a stranger in your land, and I am fascinated by these large bundles you all carry, but never seem to put down. What is their purpose?" "Oh, these," answered the young fellow in a matter-of-fact way. "These are our grudges." "My," said the wise old man, "that's a lot of grudges to collect at your age." "Oh, they're not all mine. Most of them were passed down in my family." The young fellow heaved a weary sigh. "See that man over there? I have quite a load of grudges against his family. His great-great-grandfather called mine a horse thief when they both wanted to be elected mayor." The wise man looked around and shook his head sadly. "You all look so unhappy. Is there no way to get rid of these burdens?" "We've forgotten how," said the young fellow, shifting his load a little. "You see, at first we were proud of our grudges. Tourists came from miles around. But after a few years, Grudgeville became a dreary place. Nobody came. We had forgotten how to stop holding our grudges." "If you really want to get rid of those grudges," said the wise old man, "I think I know 5 magic words that will do the trick." "You do?" asked the fellow hopefully. "That would be a miracle. I'll go and have the mayor call the people of Grudgeville together." And he went off as fast as his grudges would let him. The mayor lost no time in calling the people to the village square. The mayor and the wise old man stood on a platform where they could see all the hunched-over villagers. When the people had quieted down, the mayor said, "Good people of Grudgeville, a wonderful thing has happened. A very wise stranger has come to our town. He says he can tell us the magic words that will rid us of these grudges we have carried for generations. How many of you would like to be able to straighten up, have your grudges disappear, and look at the world in a whole new way? Listen to the wise words of our visitor then, and do as he tells you." My friends, these are simple words, yet some people find them hard to say, said the wise stranger. "I think you have the courage to speak them. The trick is that you must say them to each other and truly mean them. The first 2 words are, 'I'm sorry.' Can you say them? The other 3 are, 'I forgive you.' Can you say that? Now say these words to each other." There was a long pause, then a slow grumble from the townspeople. First one person, then another said the words. Soon they were all saying them to each other, quietly at first, and then louder. And then, would you believe it? Just like the wise man predicted, the grudges disappeared. What joy there was in the town. People were heard saying, "Look at how those trees have grown. Is that you, Jim? It's good to see your face." There was dancing in the streets that day, and it wasn't long before the mayor changed the name of the town to Joyville.
We enter now into a time in our service of meditation and prayer, and we have a chance to share what joys or concerns are on our heart. So if you're here in the sanctuary this morning and you'd like to share a prayer of joy or concern, you can fill out a card during our centering hymn. And if you're joining on Zoom this morning and you wish to have one shared, please type it into the chat now. As we deepen into this space, I invite you to find a comfortable position and enter into this moment here and now. Take a few nurturing breaths and remain seated as we join in singing our centering hymn, "I Know This Rose Will Open." It's number 396 in your gray hymnal, and the words will be on the screen. This morning we have a prayer of joy from Mary Boyle. Gratitude for music and the people who make it. Amen. A prayer from Kathy Ware, a joy. We are grateful for the meals last week, and I am happy to say that we are all feeling better. A sorrow from Jack Wellman. My friend David was just diagnosed with dementia. Hope his wife and him will find support in this new chapter of their life together. A concern from Pat. My brother Bob, who is dealing with cancer and other complications. From Nancy Dale, a candle of sorrow for Amy Pett, who died in December. Her wife, Ellen Tibby, worshiped here a few years ago. For all of these joys, one more. Thank you. A joy from Sailor. We hope the surgery goes well. For Jackie. Thank you. And for all of these joys, and for all of these concerns, and for all that remain unspoken in our hearts, we light a final candle. This morning I share a meditation from Reverend Victoria Safford titled Map of a Journey in Progress. And as I read it, I invite you to call to mind the images, places, and moments of your year, or perhaps beyond, that these words evoke for you. This is Map of a Journey in Progress. Here is where I found my voice and chose to be brave. Here's a place where I forgave someone against my better judgment, and I survived that, and unexpectedly, amazingly, I became wiser. Here's where I once was forgiven, was ready for once in my life to receive forgiveness and be transformed, and I survived that also. I lived to tell the tale. This is the place where I said no, more loudly than I thought I ever could, and everybody stared. But I said no loudly anyway, because I knew it must be said, and those staring settled down into harmless, ineffective grumbling, and over me, they had no power anymore. Here's a time, and here's another, when I laid down my fear and walked right on into it, right up into my neck in that roiling water. Here's where cruelty taught me something. And here's where I was first astonished by gratuitous compassion and knew it for the miracle it was, the requirement it is. It was a trembling time. And here, much later, is where I returned that blessing clumsily. It wasn't hard, but I was unaccustomed. It cycled round, and as best I could, I sent it back on out, passed the gift along. This circular motion, around and around, has no apparent end. Here's a place, a murky puddle, where I have stumbled more than once and fallen. I don't know what yet to learn there. On this sight, I was outraged, and the rage sustains me still. It clarifies my seeing. And here's where something caught me, a warm breeze in late winter, birdsong in late summer. Here's where I was told that something was wrong with my eyes, that I see the world strangely. And here's where I said, yes, I know, I walk in beauty. Here is where I began to look with my own eyes and listen with my ears and sing my own song, as shaky as it is. Here is where, if by surgeon's knife, my heart was opened up, and here, and here, and here. These are the landmarks of conversion. I invite us into several moments of shared silence, followed by our musical meditation.
Each week, we take an offering to sustain the many ministries of this congregation. We give because we believe that we are part of something larger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space, in transformation and in hope, in community and in love. We give because we know that it takes all of us sharing our many gifts to this space to make this space possible, with the faith that together we are more than enough. Links to donate will be in the chat and on the screen, and ushers will be coming around if you would wish to give via cash or a check. As Yokiko shares her beautiful music, an offering to sustain this congregation will be gratefully received.
My friend Laura played very few sports in high school that involved projectiles. When she did, she says, she was always terrified of the ball coming toward her. She played softball one year, and she spent the entirety of the season in the outfield praying a little you prayer, she says, that the ball wouldn't come anywhere near her. She believed that she was not good with projectiles. Her partner, upon hearing this story she had about herself, took this as a personal challenge, and unbeknownst to Laura, they together embarked on a secret mission. Now, one thing that's important to know about this story is that the car that Laura's partner owned at the time had one of those old-fashioned keys where you had to put it in and turn the key. And the driver's side door was damaged and could no longer be unlocked from the outside. So in order to unlock the car, you had to manually use the key to unlock the passenger side door, climb across, unlock the driver's side door from the inside. So every day for years, Laura's partner would walk up to the driver's side door and then toss the keys over the car to the passenger side door for Laura to unlock the passenger side door. And 100% of the time, Laura would catch them without thinking and unlock the car. So fast forward to last year. One of our mutual friends held a field day themed birthday party that involved, we also learned at this birthday party, this is an aside, we learned that we're all getting a little too old for Capture the Flag after several injuries. But the birthday party involved an egg toss, and Laura's partner turned to her and said, "This is the culmination of all of your training." And wouldn't you know, Laura and her partner came in second for the egg toss competition out of maybe 8 or 10 teams, losing first place only to a tree branch that got in the way of an otherwise perfect arc. "I was finally forced to revise that story I had about myself," Laura says. "As it turns out, I'm not so bad with projectiles after all." Friends, each month at TPC, we explore a different theme in worship that helps us to go deeper. And this month, our theme is story. And as we cross the threshold into this new year, it's an opportunity for us to think about what stories we are telling, stories about our lives, about our relationships, about who we are. The stories that we all need to revise our stories from time to time, or take stock and ask ourselves if they're still serving us, or if they're still the stories that we want to be telling. The stories that we tell have such power to shape our experiences, which is why therapists use narratives to help people understand and transform their lives. It's why good stories get told and retold across generations and millennia. It's why people in power try to ban books and control what narratives are acceptable. The stories we tell matter. So as we enter into 2025, there may be stories that you are telling yourself about what this year will be like, either in your own life or in the world. And I think that this is a moment when we can remind ourselves that though we do not know what the future holds, we can set some intentions for how we engage with it and what stories we tell ourselves about this time and the meaning that we make of it. This morning, as we consider what stories we have been telling and what stories we want to be telling, we will share in a ritual that will allow us to take some time to both look backwards and look forwards, much like the ancient Roman god Janus, the god who looks both forward and back, the god of beginning and endings, and the god of doorways. We will open our hands to let go of what we want to leave behind in the old year, what stories and patterns and habits, and open our hearts to what we want to carry with us into the new one, or what we want to make space for, new stories, new ways of being. As we enter into the new year, we take some time to think about the year gone by and commit to new ways of being in the year ahead. So let us begin with a moment of reflection. I invite you to settle yourself into your seat, finding a comfortable position, and take a few moments to breathe, the breath going in and out of the door of your body. And take a few moments to consider, how do you want to live in this coming year? What will you have to give up to do so? What will you have to let in to do so?
There may be things from the past year that you'd like to let go of in the coming one. Maybe they don't serve you well or aren't good for you. Maybe they've been wonderful, but their time is over now. Maybe they're things you don't want to get rid of, but you know that you need to. Whatever they are, hold them in your heart for a moment. Those stories or habits or things that belong to the old year and not the new one. Then take a few moments to write them on the small piece of paper that you were given on your way in. I left my example back there, but hopefully folks know the one
And
that
if you
Heather's-
didn't get one, our ushers can bring one to you. Just raise your hand.
Great, our ushers are on it. I'll repeat this a few times, but and as you want to hold on to this paper once you write into it. And if you are joining online, any small piece of paper will do, but please do bring paper for yourself. So on this small piece of paper, as folks gather the materials, I know a few others still need them. Write something that either captures or symbolizes what you wish to let go of as we move from the old year to the new one.
And this year will also bring new challenges and new joys, and new times with people and places we know well already. As you look ahead, what do you want to have with you in this coming year? What will you need to gather, or what do you want to be sure to keep? What story do you want to live into in the coming year? We'll take 8 or 9 minutes to write a letter to your future self on the big sheet of paper that you were given when you came in. And if you're here in person today, we will send your letter back to you in the spring. And if you're joining us online, I invite you to write a letter to yourself and then tuck it away somewhere and write in your calendar to open it, find it and open it on May 1st. So in your letter, I invite you to write or draw or however you want to reflect on these questions. What intentions do you have for how you will live this year? What story do you want to tell? What growth, lessons, experience, transformations, or stories from the last year do you want to hold on to? And what do you want to let into your life this year? So the words will be on the screen. And when you're done, you can put it in an envelope and address it to yourself. Make sure you put your address down, not just your name, so we can mail it to you. You can go ahead and write your letter now, and I'll let you know when we have about a minute left. take about another 30 seconds.
Be aware now that we are in the presence of the Ancient of Ancients, the doorway. People have been building doorways as long as we have been creating shelter, collecting food, leaving for journeys. Doorways mark shelter and safety. Doorways mark going out and a fresh start. They are a place where we change from inside to outside, from home to away, from traveler to guest. Doorways mark endings and beginnings all at once.
And this year we find ourselves in the doorway of the year. One year is ending and another is beginning, but we're not fully in the new year nor entirely out of the old. We are in some ways in between years. So like the Roman god Janus, we both look ahead and behind simultaneously. He is the dweller on a threshold, a divinity presiding over a change point in a building as well as a change point in many lives. The month of January is named for him, and it's the month of moving from one year to another. Janus, the god of beginnings and god of endings, reminds us that we always have a chance to begin again.
In a moment, we will invite you to think about the animating power of the doorway, the concept of a being who looks both backward and forward. We will also invite you to experience moving through a doorway yourself, here, this one right here. We will invite you to move into something new, move out of something old.
So here on this side of the doorway, in the past, is a candle. And before you go through the doorway, you will burn that small piece of paper that you wrote on, symbolic of the release of that which you choose to let go of from the past year. That piece of paper that we gave you is flash paper, which is also known as magician's paper. And it is extremely flammable, but also quite safe. So it will light very quickly and burn without ash or smoke. So I recommend that you fold your paper a few times. And then once you light it on fire, put it to the flame, pull it away and let go of it. And it'll burn very quickly. So it's like this. It's pretty cool. And Rose and I will be here at the front if you would like us to light the flash paper for you. We've practiced it many times. So I'll do that again just so you can see. Put it to the flame and pull it away, and it'll burn very quickly.
Once you have burned your paper, you will walk through this doorway. Here is the past, here is the future. And on this other side, there is a basket for you to drop your self-addressed letter into. And again, we will mail these letters to you in the spring, so make sure that your full name and address are on them. And once you have burned your paper, moved through this doorway, and placed your letter, you may return to your seat. And for those of you online, I suggest tearing up your paper, or if it's safe, lighting it on fire. Any method that helps you symbolically let go of the old year. And if you are at home, we invite you also to move through a doorway. You may want to take a moment to close your eyes and imagine crossing a threshold or finding an actual doorway in your house to move through. And then you can stash away your letter and hopefully remember or set a calendar reminder to yourself to find it and read it on May 1st.
So as Jonathan accompanies us with music, I invite you to come down here through the doorway, or do that at home. And you may wish to take a breath as you pause on the threshold and cross between the past and the future, here in this present moment. We will come down the side aisles toward the front and back toward your seats through the center aisle. And after everybody has passed through the doorway who wishes to, I will share a short blessing. So I invite us forward now. Friends, as we cross the threshold into this new year, may you always have a door that is wide enough and high enough to move through. May you notice your endings and your beginnings. May you put down what you do not need, and may you carry with you what you do. I invite us to rise for our closing hymn. It's number 1 in our gray hymnal, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door. Please be seated. As we cross the threshold into this new year, may what weighs us down be lessened. May we release those things that are holding us back from living our fullest lives, and may we carry forward all that helps us thrive. May we open ourselves with fresh hearts to all the future has to offer, and may we tell stories that serve us well. May it be so, and amen. A few announcements. If you're joining us in person today, I'd love to invite you to coffee hour next door through these doors right here to the parish hall. And if you're joining us on Zoom, I'd love to invite you to stick around for a breakout room on Zoom to say hello to fellow Zoom attendees. And we have a special announcement from Mary Russell about an upcoming congregational vote and event.
So my name is Mary Russell, she, her. So I'm going to tell you about a process that has started. Massport, which owns local Logan and Worcester airports, is proposing a 50-acre expansion at the Hanscom Airport. This is not the Air Force Base, it's the airport directly next to it. And it's a private jet airport. Private jets pollute between 10 and 20 times more per passenger than commercial jets. The jets that are already flying out of Hanscom wipe out 50% of all the gains that solar panels in Massachusetts have made so far. And if these new jets, the new hangars, allow more jets to come, it will be 70%. And one of the things is private jets sort of send off the glow of business, but in fact, over 18 months, 31,000 flights, the analysis of those showed roughly half going to high-end luxury vacation destinations. So there's a coalition working to stop this. It's called the Stop Private Jet Expansion at Hanscom and Everywhere Coalition. And they are looking to build a broad-based coalition in opposition to this expansion. A group of concerned members of TPC asked the board if they would start the process to see if this entire congregation would like to come out in opposition to this private jet expansion. And under our bylaws, there is a process for that. It's the process that we used to come out as a welcoming congregation and to hang the Black Lives Matter flag. So this is something we've done before. And it's a process that involves education beforehand for the congregation, which our group will be doing during the month of January in the parish hall, but then a specific information session for the entire congregation, which will be held February the 2nd, right after the service, on Zoom and in person, and then a special congregational meeting to take a vote will be held on February the 9th, also on Zoom in person after the service. So as our group was coming to the board, at the same time, UU Mass Action was starting a campaign to get UU churches in particular to sign on. And so we have hooked up with them, and the resolution that will be proposed, and you'll be able to see a copy of it in the parish hall, that is the one that UU Mass Action has proposed based on UU principles. So just be aware that this is happening. Put it in your calendar. The vote, Sunday, February the 9th. But please come and get all the information that there is. But just to put it in context, it's a really complicated project, but there's only one thing we can do about it, and that is to be in opposition to it, because Massport is, it's set up as a very powerful transportation agency, and there's very little stops on it except public pressure. So look forward to seeing you at coffee hour. Thank you.
And Yukiko will close us out by Grannon by Sibelius.